It is not possible to make an accurate Okaroon cosplay because he never looks the same. Plus, he's all suiting the most difficult sewing skill set that's normally restricted to straight lines. But suiting done with organic details drawn by a man who does splash pages like this? That's a terrifying cosplay. But that's not even the scariest one.
I had to make pants.
This project was a struggle from the start because it took me months just to figure out how to pattern for all of these dumb flames. I got to skip figuring out the pattern for the torso and the sleeves because I had Needle Workshop's jacket pattern that I used last year for my Kasane Teto. I even got the coattails right on the first try when they were formed from thin digital air. But then everything came to a halt with that collar. How do you decide on flames when they look different in every frame? At first, I based the pattern on some of the figures, but I just wasn't getting the shape right. I made this one side complete with interfacing and it just looked bad. It had a dart. It was dumb. So then when I was trying to draw what I thought would work over a photo, I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna sculpt it. This is Monster Clay. I've been using it for junk sculpts to get patterns for like a year now, and by God, if you ever can't flatten a 3D object into a 2D shape with your own brain, let your hands and masking tape do it for you. I was dumb though, because I thought this would need to be 3 shapes, but then I lined them up and went, oh, you dumb bitch, it's a cone. So I gave it one more digital try, and it seemed like it was working, so I finally had my pattern for the coat, and now I had to figure out how to do a black and red gradient. Black is tricky in a gradient because dyeing anything black and having it actually look black and not blotchy is difficult. And you can't dye black fabric red, can you? A couple months ago, I discovered Rit Dye's color remover for the first time. This stuff is a gnarly smelling chemical that will strip a natural fiber fabric of its color in a second. And I knew it worked on black because the last time I did this, it stained my junk towels. It made everything kind of an orange color, which was fine because orange is almost red. It might have taken it a little closer to white if I had left it in the pot longer, but I had a gradient to worry about, so I did a lot of dunking and didn't keep it in the pot too long because, did I mention this stuff smells like really bad? With some of the black gone, I just had to prepare the standard forbidden red Rit Dye soup, dunk them in, and enjoy that sick-ass gradient.
Look at that!
While I'll never get to eat my forbidden soup, it's never been easier to get unforbidden, fresh, never frozen meals delivered right to your door with the sponsor of today's video, Factor. I keep ending up with the same problem after I go to cons. My fridge is completely barren, and I am too tired to go to the grocery store, so I keep falling into the same trap of just ordering takeout when I just ate takeout all weekend, and then I feel really gross, and my wallet is not happy. But with Factor, I can stock my fridge with chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, delicious meals. They've got a weekly menu that includes 35 options, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, keto, or even vegan and veggie. They've also got add-ons like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and drinks. There's no stress, no grocery store. You just heat them up and they're ready in 2 minutes. Plus, Factor is actually cheaper than takeout. This is footage of me trying the smoky Gouda mac and cheese with shredded beef, and oh my God, it was as Gouda as it sounds. It's also super flexible because you can change your order every week. They've got plans from 4 meals to 18 meals a week, and you can skip or reschedule deliveries at any time. So if you're interested, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code 50Spaceman to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50Spaceman at factor.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. But with all my pieces as black and red as the listeners, I needed to spend a while adding interfacing because it would help keep the shapes of the flames later. But with the interfacing on, it was time to get sewing. But not very much of it. I got the 3 back pieces together and the shoulder seams in, but that is as far as I could go because I decided to make this harder for myself and embellish the hell out of it. In December, I attended a panel by the great queen of embellishments, Sarcasm Hime, who has now inspired me to couch a bunch of sequins and craft cord all over the red sections of this jacket. So anywhere that's red is getting an extra week of personal attention roleplay. You are a piece of black and red fabric, and I am sewing on you. Couching is like anytime you put like an alien object onto fabric and you sew it down, not by going through it, but over it with a thread holding it down. And it can be done by hand or by machine, and I'm doing a little bit of both so that this doesn't take a month. I did a single line of strung sequins that I got on eBay by machine and squiggles of metallic Christmas craft cord that is just for like tying up presents. But I had to do all of that by hand. That craft cord is a tip I got from the goat herself, and it just proves that if it's pretty and sparkly, it can be an embellishment. But now I have to explain to you the weirdness that is this collar, because it is unlike any I've done before. Most collars just get bag lined together and turned inside out. But because of Okarun's spikes, when I tried to do that with the mock-ups, absolutely nothing I did got these anywhere near the gorgeous sharp points that I wanted. Those aren't flames. Those are nubs. So I did something weird. This is a piece of polyester voile that I painted extra flames onto with Dynaflow, covered the Dynaflow with fray check, and straight up just cut them out. The fray check on its own is going to keep the fabric from fraying, and the Dynaflow is my desperate attempt to make this fabric actually look red when it's barely red because I didn't have any red voile, and I tried to dye pink voile red, and it's just kind of pink. Anyway, more weird shit. I satin stitched the voile underneath the black fabric, meaning that the red flames won't fray, the black flames won't fray, and they're getting attached to the red flames at the same time, creating the beautiful, sharp flames that I wanted. Satin stitching, as always, is just a really tight zigzag stitch on the machine. The stitch width determines how wide it is, but the stitch length is what takes it down to a satin stitch and forms a nice little solid line to cover up all those raw edges. But with all that on, it was time to wiggle the whole thing! This is where all my weird stuff starts to make sense. My plan was to sew the bottom of the collar the way you would a normal one, by bagging it out. But I stopped when I got to the flames. For the structure, it is all just a piece of Pellon 71F. This is an upholstery interfacing, and it's strong enough on its own that it's gonna make the collar defy gravity all by itself. And because the flames are already finished, all I had to do was shove the Pellon between them and hand tack the edges together. It is a weird, backwards way of doing a collar, but it gave me the sharpest edges I could get, and it might not be accurate, but it's pretty cool.
It's a big day because the collar's done, and that means I can actually assemble the coat. The collar has to go on the black first because that's just how tailoring works. Yes, it's about to get really weird because you don't normally put upholstery interfacing in a collar. I do have to make sure I do it on the correct side though. But which way does it go? I don't actually know. Do I need to go watch my Tato video? How did you do this, bitch? Oh, that collar didn't have a right or a wrong side. God. I'm like 90%. Yes, I'm watching Kiralee. We love Kiralee. I'm 90% sure it is wrong side of collar to right side of jacket. Why are so many of my pins sticky? I don't know what I did to make so many of my pins sticky, but so many of them are not working. That one is sticky. I should not be throwing them like that. I'm throwing for content. There's like 100% chance that there's gonna be a pucker in the back, and I'm just gonna live with that because this collar design is so weird. You know what though? My ochre and my Momo cosplays will match because they'll both have a pucker on the back of the collar. Yes, we have pucker. There is pucker. I just don't want any puckers in the front. It's probably not going to stand up on its own right now, but I have a thing to make it stand up on its own, okay? But now this is where the lining, oh God, the lining comes in. The actual next step is to take the lining and do all of the front stuff. But before I do that, I have a thing to help this stand up, and it has fallen on the floor. It is another little piece of Pellon 71F, and it is going to act as a kickstand for the collar. Yes, this is a really weird thing to do, but I tested it on one of the mock-ups and it did help.
So with my obtrusively annoying collar flipped down, side note, I was getting very angry with this collar while I was pinning the lining in from the bottom of the coattails up through the front closure around the collar and down the other side of the coattail because the dumb heavy collar was just not letting me have anything sit on the table right and making it very hard to get all of that pinned together so that I could sew it all up. This is not how you usually finish the bottom of a coat at all, by the way, but because of the flames, this is how I chose to do it. This is also why I never went through and cut out the flames, because now I had to essentially do pointed scallops. And to do that, I just followed the line of the interfacing, which I had cut out exactly to my pattern. And yes, it was very weird and annoying to go over the collar. And yes, I did break a needle when I was going over it.
Oh, did that even break? What did that hit? It's not broken. Oh, it's bent. It's bent. Bend a needle on that like button.
But with all of that sewn in, I could do the same thing to the back. This time, I just had to do the flames on the very bottom, but this is why I never sewed up the side seams. Because once the front and back flames were sewn in, and once I clipped off all the excess fabric, I could turn both the front and the back right sides out, which I would not have been able to do if the side seams were in, because Vsauce, the coffee cup is a donut. But now the coat had rad flames on the bottom and a full lining just waiting, dying even, to have its side seams sewn up. Which was a little weird and awkward, but I was able to sew the black side seams in just by machine, though pressing it was such a challenge. I had to kind of shove the iron into the garment to get everything flat. But then the lining side seams, I just had to continue sewing from where I had stopped, and I could actually go all the way up to the armpit, and thanks to the laws of topology, it can all turn right sides out through the armhole because the sleeves still aren't on. So I have several problems, and I have caused them all myself. When I cut the lining out, I cut it to the exact pattern that I had made, but then when I got to the black, I started thinking about my mock-up, the one you may have seen if you saw the video where I threw up on a plane. I did not think that that was big enough to overlap in the front for the buttons. And so I was like, oh, I'll just add another inch to the front of the black, and then I'll be able to do like an overlap. Well, that ended up getting kind of weird down here. Like you can see I've got a weird pucker here. And I was like, that's fine. It's on the lining. It's not a competition piece. Nobody's gonna be looking at my lining like that. Well, it just spiraled into things not working right, kind of all over the place. Anyway, what's happening is the red lining is slightly shorter and slightly smaller than the black outside. It's making it like bubble up, which it just should not be doing. You can see right there. You see that? Do you see that? It should not be doing that. And if you look even closer, you can see that I've pinned up some of the black. This is my solution. It's a bad solution. It's not a professional solution. It's not even a thing you'd really see on a jacket like this, but it is doing a lot to solve a lot of my sins. The other thing, and this was a thing I knew I was going to have to deal with, this side here is droopy. So on this side, it's doing a little less of that because I have also cut a kind of a petticoat. And so what I'm gonna do now is kind of cut it down so that it is the same shape of the flames and hand sew it to the lining. I knew I wouldn't be screwing myself over with the sleeves though, because these are just the unaltered sleeves from the Needle Workshop pattern. I got 2 black ones ready and 2 red, but before sewing either to the coat, I sewed them to each other around the wrist. And with the lining out of the way, I could sew just the black sleeve onto the black body, shove the red sleeve inside, and hand sew it to the red lining around the shoulder. And with that, I had the raddest jacket I have ever made, complete with a little bit of weird puckering, but Okaroon's jacket puckers. It's fine. But now it was time to face the part of this cosplay that scared me the most. The pants. I have not even attempted to make a pair of non-stretch pants since 2016 when I tried to do it with a duct tape pattern before realizing that the hole that my ankle creates is not big enough for my foot to go through. But I'm a little less scared of this because I am using a pattern that I have used before. These are the shorts that I made. That is the thing that is scary about these pants, is they have a fly. When I did this one, I almost cried. I'm not good at following instructions. They confuse me. Written instructions. Here's the dumb thing though. Okay, so this pattern is the wide leg pleated shorts pattern,
from Kiana Bonolo Designs. And for some reason, I never realized that Kiana Bonolo has a YouTube channel and has a video for this pair of shorts that I could have just watched when I did it and not have had to read the written instructions. But this time I went through, watched the video, and wrote down Sarah-style instructions that I can understand. Step 1 is to take this, which is the fly facing. This is the thing that made me cry, was left and right and wrong when left and right is involved. But I'm on the left side of the pants on the right side, and I'm supposed to take this and sew it right here. Easy enough. Now I'm supposed to take this, flip it to the other side, press it flat, and then top stitch it across the new edge. Now I'm supposed to take my zipper. I think I'm supposed to flip this over, put the zipper like this. I don't know. And then it says, move shit. Huh. You sew the zipper on just this side, because the other side of the zipper goes to the other side of the shorts, because that's how you, or the pants. These are pants. The other side of the zipper goes to the other side so that you can open them, because it's a fly. Okay, now I take this thing, which I definitely forgot that this was a top stitching template and not a piece that I needed to cut out, and I definitely cut this piece out when I was cutting the pieces out when I didn't have to. But this is just the template for top stitching the zipper in. If you want to see somebody that knows how to do this, Kiana's video will be linked. But as always, you're here to watch me suffer. Now we go to the other side and we get this thing, which is the fly shield. This is a fly shield, everyone. Ooh, I definitely know that. Oh no, I don't do anything to this side yet. I take this. I might need to look at my shorts. If this is this way, then this one ends up like this. You do another, get the out of the way. This is just getting sewn to the zipper, which will make it open because it's a zipper. Final stretch. And then we get to sing the hokey pokey. I'm supposed to get my cat out of the closet so she stops making all of this crazy noise. Then I just have to take this over to the iron, press it. I place this, pin it in. I watch out for Kitty's tail, and I'll just top stitch it through here. And then we can sing the hokey pokey. Now I take this crotch part and I'm supposed to flip this under and press it, and I'm supposed to top stitch it to the other one instead of doing it right sides together. I don't know why, but you're supposed to do that. With this crotch seam in, I will have to do the pockets real quick. This has like regular side pockets that are not super interesting, so I'll skip over that and just hit you with the hokey pokey. You put your butt seam in and you stop before the leg. Your crotch seam is already in and it has a functioning fly. You sew up the side seams because this pattern has side seams. You make it go spread eagle, and yes, now you sew up the leg and you turn it right sides out and add a waistband. You know, they're a little biggest. I feel like the only thing that would drive me crazy is if they're biggest in the crotches. I kind of really like them. This fabric is so nice, and it's cotton. If I'm gonna wear non-stretch pants, I'm only wearing non-stretch cotton pants. The butt looks good. You won't even see the butt. But pants with a fly. She's done it.
With the scariest part of this cosplay done, it was time to move on to the accessories. For the mask, I patterned it out of thin digital air, of course, and its base is EVA foam, but I wanted all the black to be the same tone of black, so after cutting out all the pieces, I did the old cover the EVA foam in fabric with contact cement trick. You can do this non-toxically, by the way, and you would know that if you have seen the Sarah Spaceman classic. I made a giant fork, but I have a garage, a respirator, and gloves, so I can do this the faster way and use the stuff that will kill your brain cells if you use it inside. The teeth, though, had to all be foam, so after the painful process of carving a single piece into individual teeth and painting them, they got resin coated. To finish it up, I hand sewed the excess fabric onto the backside, sewed the two pieces together, and unfortunately, very messily, hot glued the teeth on before attaching parachute clips so that it can attach to the wig. Oh yeah, the wig! I started with a Foss-shaped base because I like to be able to throw my wigs downstairs. The most important thing about this base is that I didn't actually set the Foss shape yet. If you don't know, this is a thermoplastic that feels and looks like felt when you get it, but when you heat it, it turns hard as a rock, i.e., the stairs. But I left it unheated so that when I went to sew a bunch of hair onto it, it wasn't literally painful. What was painful was crimping all of the fiber before any of it touched the wig. The fiber, by the way, is a cheap lace front that got cut into pieces and 2 packs of epic cosplay short wefts because Arda never has white in stock. Though, I do now understand what I have heard about epic fibers. They are easier to work with than Arda, but damn, they are shiny if you do not crimp them. But yeah, I basically sewed the entire lace front back together on top of the boss shape, primarily by hand, but when I got to the back of the wig, I was able to machine sew the epic wefts in. And of course, I also added a few very small red wefts. These are actually left over from Teto. And no, I did not almost forget them. Why would you say that? If I was just going for Turbo Granny, I guess I could have stopped here, but look how much volume it already has. But now I had to get that boss shape heat-shaped, which was going to be a challenge with all of the hair on it.
Really, the only bad thing that could happen here is that I forgot to sew something in, but I got the Velcro in there. Yes, there's Velcro in there. That's just how I keep these things on my head. The only thing that makes this any different is that there's hair in the way. And it's a little annoying to work around. But this is not a bad way to get hair on a wig. Or rather, this is not a bad way to create a base wig that you can throw down the stairs. Okay, it's still warm, so I probably should not be doing this, but I'm going to take it off and see if it fits on my head. Okay, we're pretty sturdy now. She's not floppy no more. Or he's not floppy no more. He's a boy. Ooh. All right. Are my ears in a good? Yeah, my ears are in a good spot. And it's all stiff. 10 out of 10 would throw downstairs. Now I gotta do the hard part though, actually styling it. I think he needs a little bit of a haircut first.
I do not have any excuses for how terribly I did this haircut. I thought it would be a good idea to just do big ponytails and rough cut them, but this was dumb. I knew this was dumb, and I don't know why I did this way.
That might have been bad. That might have been a bad decision. That might be, well, maybe, his hair is short, his hair is short, his hair is short, I'm okay.
While I was afraid of it being too short, I should have been more afraid of how blunt I had just cut the edges, because I then had to spend forever with the thinning scissors trying to get it back to being feathery. And even then, I kind of just gave up and decided that I would have to do that as I spiked the wig, which is what I had to do next.
This wig is gonna need a lot of teasing, even though we have all of this stuff crimped, because the teasing is what's gonna hold it in that Super Saiyan shape. You do a teasy section, heat that teasing up, and then you do that again.
But I teased and combed and heat-shaped forever and ever amen until I had a crazy-looking puffball.
Oh my god. I mean, we're getting somewhere.
I feel like this happens every time I do a lot of teasing. I end up having to calm it all down with the steamer. I was able to just kind of shape everything with just the steamer, and remember, there's no hairspray in most of this right now, but even just from the steaming and teasing, it was all pretty easily getting into a good general shape. But the ends were still looking wild, so it was time for the painstaking part, spiking. I didn't really have a plan for these back pieces, but when I got to the front, I wanted to make sure everything looked actually good. I used U-pins to hold the spikes in shape so I could steam them into these really cool curls, which then made me so terrified of messing them up, which I was likely to do because the next thing I had to do was the bangs. Unlike the back spikes that I kind of just went at randomly and hoped for the best, I knew that the bangs were going to need some prep work. So after thinning the crap out of those ugly blunt edges, I broke out my mesh curlers and started rolling them up. I over-explained these mesh curlers in this video, but for Okaroon, I was just doing this to get some volume at the roots for the classic anime protagonist middle M part. And I will take a middle M part over dumb anime bangs any day. Because if you do curl them, it does like half the work for you.
This looks good. It is giving Oka Moon though. I'm so bummed.
And the other half of the work is giving them a good tease so they stick straight up. And then reversing the curl by using U-pins again to give them that wiry look. And to really secure all of those spikes, I went through and glued them. I used tacky glue for this part because I feel like it's a lot easier to get a spike into a pointy shape when I can work it with my hands without gloves on. And tacky glue is a PVA glue, which means it's non-toxic and it's fine to get it all over your hands. Which is great because I also used it to saturate the offcuts from that terrible haircut and glue them on to cover the ugly edges. Finally, I went through with some uwu glue and glued a bunch of stuff down too, like the bases of the spikes and whatnot. I would also like to apologize for threatening to call people's mothers over using uwu glue without a respirator, because apparently you don't need one. But you do need gloves and adequate ventilation, and if you use it without gloves, I will know, because I am always watching, and I will call your mom. But with that, I did my makeup for my patrons, totally forgot what his red lines look like or to even put glasses on, but I got my first glance of me as Ken Takakura, and I loved it. I'll be really honest, I was really scared that Okarun was gonna fall through the cracks. Like, I was scared I was gonna lose interest and not finish this. I am excited to wear Okarun now, y'all. I'm Okarun. I am Dandadan. I don't look like a boy, which I'm happy about. I don't enjoy looking like a boy. When you've got a character that never looks the same, it's really frustrating to figure out what you're even supposed to do. But at the same time, there kind of isn't a wrong way to do any of it. No hair has to be in exactly the right place. No flame needs to be perfect. Where the red comes in doesn't even matter, because you can't animate a cosplay. Unless you shoot it on a green screen, mask out a turbulent displaced layer, and stand really still so it looks like that shit's moving. But it's not, but it looks cool. And isn't that what cosplay's about? If you think it looks cool, then that's all that matters. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel directly, you can check out my Patreon, where you'll get some exclusive content. But if you're just watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, sending the video to a friend or your mom, or subscribing, then you're supporting the channel too, so thank you. And if you like the videos where I make things, please give the video a like, because I think we all know that the more people like the vlogs at this point. So if you are a lover of these specifically, show your love in the comments and the likes, because the algorithm doesn't like these as much. But if you do, you can tell the algorithm that it's dumb. Anyway, the biggest thank you to my newest big support tier patrons. Crafty Crafter. She's that one girl. Am Not Raccoon. Mason. D Brizzles. Alyssa, Eric, Levian, the Leviathan, and Moon Mom. Thanks for watching. Bye.